Good evening and welcome to our program. I'm your host, Nicole Hales. This evening we'll be discussing the highs and lows of the second national debate with Minister of Finance and the Public Service, Dr. Nigel Clark, who went up against opposition spokesman on finance, Mark Golding, where they both spoke on the finance and the economy. Joining us in the discussion is political commentator Linton Gordon. Later on, we will be hearing from Jamaica Labour Party candidate for Clarendon Southwestern, Kent Gammon. Good evening, Mr. Gordon, and thank you for joining us.
Good evening, ma'am. Happy to be here with you. Thanks for having me.
In his opening statement, Mr. Golding said in the last election, the GLP inherited a situation well poised for growth. In your opinion, do you agree with that statement, and has the GLP increased the country's growth financially?
The answer is yes. The economy had been brought to a stage where it was poised for growth. If you recall, there was a succession of failure of IMF programs under then Minister of Finance, Audley Shaw, and I believe Dr. Phillips, who was Minister of Finance, took it on and was able to bring it to a stage where the budget could be balanced and there was some surplus in our foreign exchange. So there was a foundation on which to build. And to the credit of the Jamaica Labour Party, they have acknowledged that. And that has been internationally recognized and acknowledged. I think the Jamaica Labour Party was over ambitious in declaring this rapid growth and development of the economy. The fact is that we don't have the foundation to achieve that so suddenly. We don't have anything to sell rapidly so that all of a sudden there will be this huge inflow of foreign exchange that would make the country rich. We do not have it, and therefore there was no basis on which it could have been achieved so suddenly. And I'm pleased to see that they have decided not to have this firm, cast in stone projection as to what growth they will achieve in the next term should they win. Aim for growth, but be realistic. Don't set pies in the sky which you can't catch.
The PNP in their manifesto stated that they want to give 370,000 households $48,000 each. Practical in the economy, is this practical given the decline in the economy due to the COVID-19 pandemic?
I don't think it is practical, and I don't think it is prudent to just take up money and deliver to people. Whether it is paying water bill or paying light bill, how do you determine in a certain way that you are giving to the persons most in need? There are lots of middle class people, lots of business people, lots of investors who are struggling more than the little man down the bottom, because they have lost everything in this economic climate. And how will you distinguish those persons from persons who will walk in and say, I am unemployed and I can't pay my light or water? I think the better approach to take would be to seek to reduce the cost of energy, which is electricity and fuel, gas and all of that, and also to make the Water Commission more efficient and reduce the cost of water while concurrently increasing the availability of potable water to more and more citizens in the country.
When Dr. Clark was asked the total cost of grants and packages in the GLP manifesto and how it was going to be funded, did he answer that question adequately, Linton?
No, I don't think either of the debaters set out any concise, understandable, or acceptable explanation as to how they will be getting the funds to give away or to spend freely. I am not impressed with what either of them set out in that regard.
Turning to the issue of the introduction of performance-based pay in the public sector, what are your thoughts on this, and do you believe if implemented that should carry over for ministers as well?
It's not an easy approach to paying people, and you have to be careful how you take on such a task. A teacher who has a class of quote-unquote dunce children, let's put it in its basic form, might never, despite her effort, see any of them succeeding in getting 6, 7, or 9 CXC. But that doesn't mean that that teacher worked less than a teacher whose classroom has a lot of children getting 10 and 20. What is the measuring rod are you going to use? Is it the result gained by the children being taught by the teacher, or somebody will be there, the principal, measuring the performance of the teacher? And that applies to civil servants. There are civil servants who work diligently, but the area they work in is not one that returns positive results easily, while others are in areas where positive results are returned easily. Do you pay those more than those who are actually working harder, but because of the area they are working in, they are not going to get any positive results readily? It's a horse on which you go astride, it might pitch you anywhere along the way.
Mr. Golding was asked which items in his party's manifesto would be a priority in the advent of COVID-19. His response included housing and the quality of living project as a way to stimulate the economy and strengthen the social safety net. How does giving the 360,000 households $3,000 for electricity and $1,000 for water be in the best interest of the economy and the country?
Well, I have no difficulty with assisting people with water and light, but I don't think it should be paid into the hands of the persons. And that it comes back to what I'm saying. It's better to have an across-the-board reduction to the benefit of everyone, if you wish to achieve that. But to start spending or distributing monies, I don't know how that will ever be administered. And I must say that both Dr. Clark and Mr. Golding concentrated on housing and social welfare. And in a sense, it sounds like it would be better for both of them to sit around a bar or in church or wherever they can have some common ground and agree what they should do since they are so close. Both of them identify the same areas that they would emphasize or put emphasis on. So let's get together and work out something for the good of the country. I must also add that I am concerned that there was little or no emphasis on national security and on education and even health, despite what we're having here. I heard Dr. Clark speaking of hospitals in a sort of vague way. I would have enjoyed hearing a specific plan or a commitment to build a hospital or a clinic in a specific time and at a specific location so that they can be pinned down to a commitment and be measured by to establish the extent of their failure and success.
Okay, Linton. Earlier today, we asked the public their views on the debate. Let's take a look.
Last night debate, I have no difficulty determining who was the winner. I think the winner was Nigel Clark, Dr. Nigel Clark. I think he performed creditably well. He answered all the questions eloquently, and I think the Jamaican people will be elated at the response and what the party will be doing, this new administration will be doing to put Jamaica on the track of prosperity.
The PNP party were more, positive in what they were saying.
Nobody won. We are only disposable to politicians.
I think that Nigel win the debate based on the information that he gives to the people.
I got on Facebook last night. Me not even remember saying debate last night. It's up on me see everywhere me stroll. Me see Golden want help. Golden may well want the debate done. Oh God.
Say any of them won the debate. I would say both of them had very good points. Nigel had the statistics, he had the facts together. You can see he has a good grasp on what's happening in the finance industry under his leadership. However, I didn't think he directly answered all of the questions. I think when he was asked them, he just spoke about what the JP did right instead of what they did wrong. I feel like Mark started off very shaky and nervous, but at the end of it, I think he had some very good points to make. At the end of the day, maybe I could give them a tie. I don't think any of them won it.
Linton, we just heard the views of the public about last night's debate. From your perspective, which party's manifesto seems more practical or attainable?
I'm not going to pronounce who won the debate, in my opinion, or which manifesto is more practicable. What I would say of both documents and of both of the debaters is that the documents presented are crafted in a way to convince persons to vote for them and not to create policies that are practical and likely to be implemented. And what you have to understand going from there is that the person who might be seen as producing the better of the two is the one who crafted the better bit of propaganda. As to the debate, I think that we have to agree that both persons made an effort to put forward the points that they are defending. But by and large, I think the aim was to tell persons what they believe persons want to hear, with the hope that persons having heard what they want to hear, they will support their respective parties. And that's where I'll leave it.
All right, so you're not declaring who won last night's debate, but tell us who represented their party's plans for the economy last night. Who was most convincing for you?
I think both of them fell short. I'll tell you why. Dr. Clark could have been more open to the public in explaining why the 4 in 5 was a failure, because he cannot put it at the feet of COVID-19, which started seriously in about March, April. Secondly, Mr. Golden, for his part, was putting forward a lot of plans and offerings and gifts, and he was turning around figures, but he never said how these revenues will be generated or from whence they would come. He predicated his projection on the last budget, but I don't think we are going to enjoy the amount of funds in the coming budget that we were able to find for the last budget. The economy is shrinking, foreign exchange is short, the dollar is at 152, where it was, I think, 120 at 130 when the government came in power. There are several variables that should have been looked at and addressed, and neither of the two did so, and they haven't done so in their respective manifesto.
Earlier today, we heard from the Jamaica Labour Party candidate for Clarendon Southwestern, Kent Gammon. He spoke about his plans for his constituency. Here's what he had to say.
Hi, I'm Kent Gammon, your Jamaica Labour Party candidate for Southwest Clarendon. The plans that I have for this constituency are long term. We want to add value to the economy of Southwest Clarendon, which has been deprived for too long under poor leadership. As part of my plans, I intend to use all the idle lands and put them into productive use. And what we want to do is we want to join up the farms all around Southwest Clarendon and get them into the mother farm, which means that the farmers will have a cooperative that I will form, and they can bring their produce to the distribution markets and centers. That's called the mother farm concept.
Mr. Gammon also spoke about his plans for youth, infrastructure and educational development.
I want to also develop the young people who are not trained in the many areas of their productive lives. A lot of them don't have the proper skills, and what we want to do is we want to develop a university, some kind of skills training throughout the constituency by using community centers. We believe that the young people want to work, but they have been denied opportunities because there are not enough training centers for their skills, and that's what I intend to do. The third area I'd like to look at and develop is this development of the infrastructure. The roads in Southwest Clarendon are terrible. The people are unable to get their farm produce to the markets in an efficient way. The taxis having their cars damaged, and this is creating an unnecessary cost to them. My plan is to get the roads properly developed, to get your bridges fixed so people can traverse properly without having to worry about their front end and their cars being damaged. The other area of development I would like to make a change in Southwest Clarendon, it has to do with the development of our young people's educational opportunities apart from just the skills training. The schools are badly neglected, and we want to fix the schools. We want to give the teachers more resources so that they can bring the little minds into more developed brains, and they can be productive people of Southwest Clarendon. These are the plans that I want to unleash on the people of Southwest Clarendon when I'm a Member of Parliament on the 3rd of September. Give me the opportunity to work the system, to make it work for you. Give me one term and I will earn the next. Thank you.
Linton come tomorrow, Prime Minister Andrew Holness and opposition leader and President of the People's National Party, Dr. Peter Phillips, will conclude the third national debate. What are some of the issues that you would love for the gentlemen to discuss tomorrow?
To give us a frank and open position on foreign affairs. We have the thorny issue of dealing with relationship with Israel, given policies Israel is pursuing, especially the move towards taking over certain areas occupied by Palestinians, in addition to moving the capital to Jerusalem. Jamaica has fallen behind what it used to be because the conduct of the state of Israel in that regard is questionable. Secondly, there's the thorny issue too of Venezuela, who has been so good to us in the past, and now the United States has taken a very hard line against Venezuela. And it seems to me that the United States is putting together a collection or a posse of countries to go after Venezuela. We need to get the assurance from both leaders that they are not going to get Jamaica involved into a situation which may result in protracted guerrilla warfare and terrorist acts against Jamaica and its citizens. We need to get that very, very clear and certain. Those are two very urgent issues on which both parties, more so the government, has been silent. The other area is the commendable step that has been taken towards working together against crime. I will only say that if we could go another step to the stage where certain information could be shared with the opposition and the spokesperson on national security, and also a final decision to go after all the gangsters and gunmen connected, known to be connected to political parties, especially in the garrisons, more of which are under the jurisdiction of the PNP. We need to be open, frank, and have a commitment by both parties, and not a commitment, a pursuance of the policy of ridding the country of gunmen and terrorists and criminals who from time to time enjoy political protection.
All right, thank you so much, Linton, and join us tomorrow for live coverage of the third national debate at 9 p.m. between leader of the Jamaica Labour Party and Prime Minister Andrew Holness and opposition leader and president of the People's National Party, Dr. Peter Phillips. Immediately following the debate will be a live panel discussion breaking down the highs and lows of the debate. You won't want to miss it. Thank you to our guests for joining us this evening, political commentator Linton Gordon, and we also heard from Jamaica Labour Party candidate for Clarendon Southwestern, Kent Gammon. I'm Nicole Hales. Thanks for watching.